All right, so get this. We're diving into the world of Morph today.
More.
A blockchain solution.
Okay.
So ambitious, they're calling themselves the consumer blockchain.
Wow.
You know, like the one you and I might actually use every day.
Yeah.
They've got all this documentation, tech, deep dives, even something called a Morph Zoo.
A morph zoo.
Sounds wild,
Yeah.
right? We're going to break it all down for you so you can decide if Morph lives up to the hype.
I think that's the key question here. I mean, they're aiming to take blockchain from this niche technology
Yeah,
to something that everyone uses.
right.
Like the jump from clunky desktop computers to sleek smartphones in our pockets.
Okay, I'm hooked already.
Okay.
So how exactly are they going to pull this off?
Yeah.
Their documentation mentions they're a layer 2 solution built on Ethereum. For anyone scratching their heads,
Yeah.
that means they're not building a whole new blockchain from the ground up, which is actually pretty smart.
It is. It is. Think of it this way. Ethereum is like a reliable, but maybe getting a bit outdated car.
Okay.
Morph is adding a supercharger to that engine, making it faster and more efficient without having to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
And by building on Ethereum, they automatically tap into its existing security and network, which is a huge key advantage.
So instead of competing, they're collaborating.
Yeah.
I like their style.
Yeah.
But let's get specific.
Okay.
What does it mean to be a consumer blockchain?
Right.
What's the killer app here?
So imagine a world where you could pay for your morning coffee with crypto. But without those annoying gas fees, you always hear about or instantly verify you own a certain NFT to get into a concert. No more fumbling with ticket apps.
Right.
That's the kind of seamless experience Morph is shooting for.
Okay, now you're talking.
Yeah.
But how does it all actually work? Their documentation mentions 3 core technologies: a decentralized sequencer network, optimistic ZK-EVM integration.
And don't forget the modular design.
Right, of course, modular design. Let's break these down one by one, shall we? I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed, and I bet some of our listeners are too.
Good point. We don't want to get lost in the technical weeds.
Right.
Why don't we start with the decentralized sequencer network?
Okay.
This is how they're tackling the issue of speed and efficiency, something absolutely essential for a consumer-facing blockchain.
Perfect. Let's unpack that. What exactly is a decentralized sequencer network, and what makes it so special?
Imagine you're stuck in traffic, right?
Yeah.
Not exactly a fun experience.
Yeah.
Now imagine the traffic jam is actually your transaction waiting to go through on the blockchain.
Ouch. I feel that, especially with how slow some blockchains can be.
Exactly. That's because most blockchains rely on a single lane to process transactions.
Okay.
But Morph's decentralized sequencer network is like building a whole bunch of express lanes so things can keep moving quickly and smoothly, even during peak hours.
Okay, I'm liking this traffic analogy.
Yeah.
So instead of one central lane, there are multiple routes transactions can take. Does that mean if one lane gets congested, it doesn't affect the entire network?
You got it. It's like having a backup plan for your backup plan. This means faster transactions for everyone, and it also makes Morph much more resilient.
Okay.
Plus, it prevents any single entity from controlling the flow of transactions, which is a big deal when it comes to censorship resistance and security.
Now that you mention it, I remember reading something about Morph being more resistant to something called MEV minor extractable value.
Right.
Does that tie into the decentralized sequencer network?
Absolutely.
Yep.
MEV is basically a way for someone to game the system and prioritize their own transactions for profit.
Right.
But with Morph's decentralized approach, it's much harder for anyone to pull that off because there's no single point of control.
Got it. So more lanes, less traffic, and a whole lot less opportunity for shady business.
Right.
It sounds like this decentralized sequencer network is a pretty crucial part of Morph's plan to be the go-to blockchain for the everyday user.
It's definitely a game changer.
Yeah.
And it sets the stage for their other innovations, like that optimistic ZK-EVM integration you mentioned earlier.
Right. We can't forget about that tongue twister. You know, we've got to unpack that one too, right? For the sake of our listeners, can you remind us what that even means? And maybe try to keep it a bit simpler this time.
You got it.
Yeah.
To put it simply, optimistic ZK-EVM integration is Morph's way of combining the best of two worlds.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What 2 worlds are we talking about here?
On one hand, you have optimistic rollups,
Okay.
which are known for their speed and cost effectiveness.
Right.
But they have this waiting period where transactions can be challenged.
Yeah.
which can be a bit slow. On the other hand, you have zero-knowledge proofs, which are incredibly secure, but can be a bit more complex and expensive to implement. Morph found a way to combine these approaches with something they call responsive validity proof, or RVP for short.
RVP catchy. So it's like they've taken the speed of optimistic rollups and turbocharged it with the security of zero-knowledge proofs.
Exactly. And this RVP is the magic ingredient that makes it all work.
Okay.
It allows Morph to maintain a high level of security while also significantly speeding up transaction confirmation times.
All right, so we're talking faster transactions, A&D rock-solid security. This RVT thing sounds like a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Should we dive a little deeper into how it actually works?
Let's do it. This is where it gets really interesting.
All right, so let's break down this RVP magic, shall we?
Yeah.
It sounds almost too good to be true. Their documentation mentions something about shortening the typical challenge window.
Right.
What exactly does that mean, and why should we care?
Great question. So with optimistic rollups,
Okay.
there's this built-in safety net where anyone can challenge a transaction if they think something's wrong.
Right.
It's a way to prevent fraud, right?
Yeah.
But the downside is this challenge window can take up to a whole week. It means your funds are basically in limbo until it's cleared.
So it's secure but sluggish, not exactly ideal if we're talking about everyday transactions.
Exactly. Nobody wants to wait a week to buy a cup of coffee.
Right.
That's where Morph's RVP swoops in to save the day. Think of it like this. Now imagine a super efficient bouncer at a club.
Okay.
They can spot a fake ID from a mile away.
Right.
So the line keeps moving. RVP is like that. But for blockchain transactions, it uses zero-knowledge proofs to verify transactions much faster, shrinking that challenge window from a week down to just 1 to 3 days.
Okay, now we're talking. Faster settlements without compromising security. That's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly.
And there was something else, right? Didn't the documentation also mention lower costs thanks to some kind of data compression?
Yes.
How does that work?
You've got a sharp eye, and it all comes down to efficiency. Imagine having to share your entire life story just to prove you're old enough to get into a movie.
Right.
That's kind of how traditional blockchains work. They require a ton of data to process even simple transactions.
Okay.
But with zero-knowledge proofs, you're essentially saying, trust me, I'm good to go, without revealing all the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah.
It's like a secret handshake.
Yeah.
Only the people who need to know.
Yeah.
This means less data to crunch, which translates into lower fees for users.
Okay, so we've got the transaction highway running smoothly, securely, and affordably. That's impressive. But what about the cars on that highway? What can people actually do with Morph?
That's where things get really exciting. You remember how we talked about Morph being a consumer blockchain?
Yeah.
Well, it's not just about the tech under the hood. It's about real-world applications. And that's where the Morph Zoo comes in.
Oh, yeah, the Morph Zoo. It sounds almost too fun for something blockchain-related. What exactly is this digital zoo, and what kind of animals can we find there?
Think of it like an app store. But instead of downloading the latest game or social media app, you're plugging into a world of decentralized applications, or dApps for short. These dApps can do everything from managing your finances and trading crypto, to playing games, interacting with digital art, and even participating in decentralized governance systems.
Okay, so it's like stepping into a whole new digital dimension, and Morph is providing the portal. What's really cool is that Morph isn't just talking the talk, they're walking the walk. They've got that Genesis Jungle campaign going on, right?
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. It's like a grand opening celebration for the Morph Zoo. Users can try out different dApps, earn rewards, and really get a feel for how this whole consumer blockchain thing works in practice. Like a great way for people to dip their toes into the Morph ecosystem and see what all the excitement is about.
So it's not just a bunch of promises. You can actually experience Morph for yourself right now. That's a refreshing change from some of the vaporware we see in the crypto space.
Couldn't agree more. They've already hit some major milestones on their roadmap. Fully operational decentralized sequencers integration with EP04 for even lower transaction fees, and some serious upgrades to their ZK-EVM system.
Right.
But what has me really excited is what they've got planned for the future.
Okay, you know I love a good roadmap tease. What's coming down the pipeline for Morph? Anything that our listeners as potential everyday Morph users should be particularly hyped about?
One thing that caught my eye is Morph staking.
Okay.
It's a way for users to actively participate in securing the network and earn rewards in the process. Imagine owning a tiny piece of that transaction highway we talked about,
Right.
and earning a cut of the tolls every time someone drives through.
Yeah.
That's the basic idea.
Yeah.
It's a powerful way to empower users and give them a real voice in shaping the future of Morph.
So it's not just about using the blockchain, it's about becoming a part of it. I love that. Anything else on the horizon that has you particularly intrigued?
Well, they've been dropping hints about integrating AI ecosystem support, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Imagine AI-powered apps that can analyze market trends, personalize your user experience, or even help you manage your crypto portfolio.
Wow.
We're still in the early stages, but given how quickly AI is evolving, Morph could be positioning itself to ride that wave in a big way.
Now, that's a tantalizing thought. AI and blockchain, two of the most transformative technologies of our time coming together in the Morph ecosystem, it definitely gives us a lot to think about. So to wrap this all up, it sounds like Morph is more than just another blockchain trying to be the next Bitcoin or Ethereum. They're aiming to bridge the gap between this complex technology and our everyday lives, and that's a vision I can get behind.
Absolutely. They're focused on building a user-friendly, scalable, and affordable platform that has the potential to change how we interact with the digital world. And that's a future I'm excited to see unfold.
Me too. And it leaves us with a final thought-provoking question for you, our listeners. With Morph striving to make blockchain accessible to everyone, how do you see this technology impacting your life in the years to come? Food for thought, my friends. And be sure to join us next time as we continue to explore the ever-evolving world of blockchain and beyond. Until then, happy diving.